All right, guys, we're back for the third and final part. And what better way to end this off than with the main event of UFC 248 for the middleweight championship of the world? We have the current, reigning, defending, undefeated middleweight champion, the last Stylebender, Israel Adesanya, going up against the former title challenger, the scariest man in the middleweight division, the soldier of God, Yoel Romero. Yeah, guys, this is a very close fight for multiple reasons. I mean, you look at it, and Adesanya is obviously undefeated, 18-0. Yoel Romero's 13-4, but you look at all of his losses were extremely close fights. Both fights to Robert Whittaker, extremely close. A lot of people thought he won the second fight against Whittaker. I didn't. I scored it 3-2 for Whittaker. I mean, the knockdowns won some rounds for Yoel Romero, but I just think that Whittaker was more busy overall in the entire fight, and you can't just win the fights off of knockdowns if you're not doing anything before that. And then you look at his fight against Paulo Costa, which is an amazing fight. If you haven't seen Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa from UFC 241, definitely go out of your way and watch that fight before this Saturday's main event. But let's look at some of the intangibles. First off, the reach. Israel Adesanya has an 80-inch reach. Yoel Romero, 73.5. So that's a 6.5-inch reach advantage for Israel Adesanya, and he is going to be using that throughout this entire fight. When it goes to wins by knockout, 78% come by way of knockout for Israel Adesanya. 85% of wins come by way of knockout for Yoel, the soldier of God, Romero. Decisions, 22% for Israel Adesanya and 15% for Yoel Romero. So both of these guys are finishers. Both of these guys are going to be looking to put the other one's lights out, and I can't wait to watch it. When you look at average fight time, it's very close. 13 minutes and 42 seconds for Adesanya and 13 minutes and 46 seconds for Yoel Romero. When it comes to knockdown averages per minute, 0.88, not percentage, but 0.88 knockdown average for Adesanya per 15 minutes, 0.89 for Yoel Romero per 15-minute fight. Strikes landed per minute, Adesanya is the more active at 4.47 to Yoel Romero's 3.32. Significant strikes, 53% land for Adesanya and 51% land for Yoel Romero. When it comes to defense, 69% of strikes are defended by Adesanya and 63% for Yoel Romero. That actually surprises me because I feel like Romero gets hit a lot in his fights the later they go and the more tired he gets. When it comes to the grappling, this is where it favors Romero a little bit better. For takedowns per 15 minutes, Adesanya has 0, but Yoel Romero lands almost 2 takedowns per 15-minute fight at 1.98. Romero has 35% takedown accuracy. That's one thing that I think is misconstrued with Yoel Romero. Yes, he's an Olympic wrestler, a multiple-time Cuban, sensation in amateur wrestling. Like I said, Olympic gold, not Olympic gold medalist, but Olympic silver medalist in wrestling. So the guy can take anybody down. But when you look at his MMA and his UFC wrestling, in mixed martial arts, only 35% takedown accuracy. Now, that doesn't say he doesn't get people down. He does, but he likes to stay on the feet a lot too and doesn't resort to his wrestling. I feel like against Adesanya, we're going to see a lot more fakes into takedown entries and clinch positions where he tries to get the outside reap takedowns, or faking a punch to a takedown, or faking a takedown to a punch to try to trick up Adesanya and try to get the finish or obviously win the rounds. When it comes to takedown defense, Adesanya has 85% takedown defense and Yoel Romero has 78% takedown defense. So let's look at the fight overall. So when you look at a guy like Adesanya, he's very technical and he's one of the best strikers. I believe the best striker in all of mixed martial arts, hands down, bar none, no comparison, because he's so good. And obviously I did a double trouble breakdown on Israel, the last Stylebender Adesanya. If you want to look at that, it goes over all of his fights leading up to the Robert Whittaker fight and the tendencies he likes to use and what he's good at and what he uses for defense. And we're going to go over that right now. So when you look at Israel Adesanya, it's all about fakes and feints and setting traps and keeping the opponent at a range where you can strike and not get hit. Adesanya never really lets his back get to the fence, but if he does let his back get to the fence, he'll roll and cut an angle off to the side to get back to the center. But he likes to fake and feint a lot. So if he fakes up top, like let's say he fakes a jab, he'll throw a low kick. Then he'll throw a low kick, fake a kick, go jab, lead hook. Then he'll throw a 1-2, fake a kick, go inside kick, cross hook, low kick. He'll stutter step, double step forward to close the distance off and throw an elbow, or he'll double stutter step forward and then throw a kick. And a lot of the times with Adesanya, after he throws a kick, he'll switch his stance. So he'll go 1-2, stutter step, right round kick, step down into southpaw, straight left hand, right hook, left kick, switch back to orthodox. And then he'll switch stances as he's against the fence. So if you push him back, like Romero is most likely going to do, if you push back Adesanya, he'll usually try to he'll move back kind of, I call it like a cobra-like motion with his head. He'll look at you as you're coming forward, and then he'll roll one way, slip the other way, but he'll keep his eyes on you the whole entire time. Adesanya's eyes are probably some of the best in the sport of mixed martial arts. He sees everything you're going to throw 2 steps before you throw it. For Yoel Romero, he's a very good striker, but he likes to start very slow. He'll move forward, kind of just plod forward. He'll lull you into a false sense of security, and then he'll explode on you. So he'll be moving, flying knee like he did against Weidman, or he'll be moving, takedown, ground and pound finish like he did to like he did to Lyoto Machida, or against Paulo Costa. That was more of like a war between the two guys. One of the best fights I've seen, but it's moving forward. He's not really doing anything. He has very good boxing, but against a guy like Adesanya, I would expect him to resort more towards his wrestling. But you can't really take down Israel Adesanya. Yes, he did get taken down by Kelvin Gastelum, I believe, once in their fight, but he always gets back up to his feet, and he can threaten with submissions. You saw it. He almost caught Gastelum in a triangle choke in their fight, almost locked in a guillotine choke, and almost took his back. When you look at how defense, let's go over defense. I don't really go over this a lot in the fight in terms of the way they defend, but I'm going to do it in this fight. Adesanya is always moving side to side. He's always slipping outside of your shots, and then he's always moving his head and pulling back and rolling and slipping and countering. For Yoel Romero, he's more resulted to a Mayweather's type of Philly shell and block defense. And that works against guys who throw punches from a wide angle. Like against Paulo Costa, who winds up on his shots and he's throwing them from the hip. That's going to work because you could see the shot, so you could roll with the shoulder on one side and cover with the other hand on the other side. That works against wide shots. But against people who are going to pick their shots and throw just like sniper type of shots like Adesanya, where he'll just bop, pop, 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 and they're all coming with no wind up. You can't even barely see them because they're coming out so straight and so crisp. That's not a way to defend against a guy against that type of style. That's the perfect kryptonite for the Philly shell type of style if you're just able to fire your shots off very sharp, no wind up and straight, because it's going to penetrate that defense and it's going to catch him on the chin. One place Adesanya needs to be aware of and needs to get away from is the fence. If Yoel Romero gets Adesanya up against the fence and goes into a barrage or goes for a takedown, he's in trouble. That's one area I think that Yoel Romero can catch Adesanya and possibly knock him out. Let's say Adesanya, slips a shot from Romero, gets caught up against the fence, and then Romero just bum rushes him with a straight left and a right hook and catches him as he's slipping. He could catch him and knock him out. You saw Kelvin Gastelum catch him with a high kick. I don't really expect Yoel Romero to try to exchange kicks with Adesanya. However, I do expect the barrages of Yoel Romero to at least be the most dangerous aspect of the fight for Adesanya. The grappling is obviously a big advantage for Romero, but you look at the stats I explained earlier, and obviously Adesanya trains out of City Kickboxing with guys who have some of the best takedown defense. I mean, Dan Hooker, Adesanya barely ever gets taken down, and if he does get taken down, he gets right back up to his feet. So this is a tough fight. I mean, I call Romero's style a lazy lie. That's what I wrote down. Because like I said, he lulls you into a full sense of security. He's real lazy. He's just kind of moving around and you're like, really, that's it? And then, bah! And that's it. You're looking up at the lights going, what happened? Against Adesanya, you can't really lay back and play that type of game. Romero's going to have to resort to his wrestling. He's going to have to try to bum rush Adesanya if he wants to win this fight. If he plays the little lackadaisical type of moving around, barely doing anything, Adesanya is going to see what you're going to do, 5 steps ahead, and he's going to just jab your face off, low kick you, fake and feint to get you to block somewhere you don't want to block, and then pick you apart with shots and just pepper him. If Romero fights in a slow type of style for the beginning rounds, Israel Adesanya is going to pick him apart and punch his face off and kick his head off. But I feel like Romero's going to immediately bum rush Adesanya and then go for takedowns. I think that's the best bet for Romero. Maybe start the fight off with a flying knee. Maybe he just lulls him out, kind of, and then just goes out with like a flying knee, a roundhouse, a jumping, spinning back fist, something like that. But when it comes down to it, who do I see winning this fight? I have to go with my boy Israel, the last Stylebender, Adesanya. Because, yes, Romero's going to do better if he closes the distance. But who closes the distance on Israel Adesanya? Anderson Silva did maybe once, but then when Anderson tried to throw a big strike, Adesanya just moved out of the way. He moved to the side off the fence and got back to the center. And when you look at the Robert Whittaker fight, which is probably the most impressive performance of Adesanya's career, he had finally figured out the perfect range to strike at and get out of the way of attacks. And when you throw high kicks at Adesanya, he's able to let them deflect off the shoulder and roll. When you throw big wind-up power shots, he'll block and counter on the other side. When you look at the exchange where he finished off Robert Whittaker, there was a point where Adesanya threw an overhand, or Whittaker threw an overhand right. Adesanya deflected it with the left hand and then countered with a right hook. So as the overhand, so he missed. I believe what happened is Adesanya missed a left hook. Then Whittaker rolled to the inside and came over the top with an overhand right. But Adesanya was so aware that he was able to take that missed left hook and turn it into a deflection and kind of block and pull the shot away from him and then counter with that right into that left hook again. And that's what dropped him and finished off Robert Whittaker. So he's so aware of his distance and distance management that he just gets better fight by fight. Every fight Adesanya steps into the octagon, he gets better with each new performance. And I expect to see the same thing here. I could see Adesanya getting caught and knocked out, but I just think that he is too crisp and too clean and too smart to get engaged in a brawl. And I think if Romero tries to bum rush Adesanya, he's going to have to do it against the fence. But I think he's so comfortable against the fence and moving and getting back to the middle that he's going to be able to just pepper Romero with that jab, that low kick, that jab, left hook, just pull counters, and just constantly pick apart Yoel Romero. I'm going to go with a 4th round TKO for the last Stylebender to retain his title here. If he knocks him out, if there's a finish early, I would expect it to either be from Adesanya countering a takedown attempt of Romero with a knee like he did against Derek Brunson. If you watch the fight against Brunson, first thing Brunson did was close the distance, try to take him down. Close the distance, try to take him down. Close the distance, try to take him down. Didn't get any of the takedowns, but Adesanya read it, and then when it got towards the later end of that first round, he was able to time a takedown attempt with a knee and catch Brunson on the chin. I could see Adesanya doing that to Yoel Romero. Obviously, Romero doesn't enter takedowns with traditional like double or single leg. He mainly tries to get you in a clinch and get a trip, like a Greco-Roman style of takedown. But I could see him faking and feigning, getting Romero to shoot, and then boom, catching him with a knee, stunning him, and then landing some good combinations and eventually finishing Romero. But earlier on, it favors Romero. Later on, it favors Adesanya. I just think Adesanya his striking is the best in the UFC, bar none. You can't deny me that. And then in terms of just the distance management, the awareness, and the overall technique of Adesanya is going to be too much for Romero. Yes, if he gets against the fence, he's going to be in trouble and Romero could finish him. But Adesanya is really good at getting off the fence and rolling with shots and is so aware of what you're going to throw that he can just move in and out of range. I got to go with Adesanya here to retain the title, and I'm going to go with a 3rd round TKO for Israel Adesanya. I think he's going to make it look easy. I think Romero might have 1 or 2 good moments in this fight where he lands a big shot, but I honestly don't see it. I think Romero is going to get picked apart and finished, and Adesanya is going to do what he said and make it look like the easiest anybody's ever dealt with Yoel Romero. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for my UFC 248 predictions. I hope you enjoy. Sorry for such a long episode, but we had a lot we had to discuss, and I feel like we covered almost everything possible. One more fight that got announced for 249 was Alexander Hernandez versus Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division. That's a fantastic fight for UFC 249. And let's just go over the card for 249. I mean, you've got Alexander Hernandez versus Islam Makhachev. You've got Kelvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stephens. You've got Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza in the middleweight division. You've got Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade 2. You've got Khabib versus Tony Ferguson, number 2. Khabib versus Ferguson, I was going to say number 2, but Khabib Ferguson. Let's look this up. I'm pretty sure Zabit Magomedsharipov is going to be fighting at UFC 249, and if it is, it would probably be up against Yair Rodriguez. So let's say that fight gets booked for 249. Let's go over what we got for 249. So Khabib versus Ferguson, Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza, Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas, Jeremy Stephens versus Kelvin Kattar, Lyman Good versus Bilal Muhammad. Let's say Zabit versus Yair. Now we got Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Hernandez. I mean, the list goes on and on. This card is absolutely stacked. One of the best cards we've ever had in the UFC. Forget about best card of the year. One of the best cards ever. And I expect more fights to get added as the time goes on. But yeah, that's it for this part of the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed this lengthy breakdown. And yeah, like I said, the Touch 'em Up podcast is available anywhere audio podcasts are distributed. That includes Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, YouTube. We're making the transition to YouTube. So anywhere you can get any version of an audio podcast, you can get the Touch 'em Up podcast. I'm your host, Double M. This has been episode 77, part 3, and I'm out. Have a good night, everybody. All right.